Earlier this year, lawyers for Trump attempted to block screenings of the film, claiming the movie is a, quote, concoction of lies that repeatedly defames President Trump. Despite the threats, the film is opening in New York today. This is a trailer for The Apprentice.
Yes.
Hello, this is Donald Trump from Mr. Cohen. Thank you so much.
Donald who?
1, 2, 3, 4!
Roy Cohn, nice to meet you.
The Roy Cohn, you're brutal.
Guilty as charged.
How do you always win?
There's rules. The first rule is attack, attack, attack.
It's going to be the finest building in the city, maybe the country, in the world.
Rule 2, admit nothing, deny everything.
There's never been anything like this, of this magnitude, this quality. Ooh, cheese balls over here.
What are you doing?
You want one?
No, it looks totally disgusting.
Cheese balls.
Rule 3, no matter what happens, you claim victory and never admit defeat. You have to be willing to do anything to anyone to win. You have a big You got to work on that.
Your face looked like an orange.
Attack, attack, attack. Deny everything,
Admit nothing.
never admit defeat.
What if you lost your fortune today?
Well, then maybe I'll run for president. I don't know.
I say, if you're indicted, you're invited.
The trailer for the new film, The Apprentice, a dramatized portrayal of Donald Trump's close relationship with Roy Cohn in the 1980s. Roy Cohn, chief counsel to McCarthy, also largely responsible for the execution of Julius and Ethel Rosenberg in 1953. We're joined now by the award-winning Iranian-Danish filmmaker Ali Abbasi, who directed The Apprentice, which premiered earlier this year at the Cannes Film Festival. His previous films include Holy Spider, set in Tehran, and Border, set in and around Stockholm. Democracy Now!'s Nermeen Sheikh and I spoke to Ali earlier this week and asked him about why he decided to focus on Roy Cohn and Donald Trump in this film.
For me, The Apprentice is not a Trump biopic as such. It's about a transformative relationship of him and the mentorship of Roy Cohn. It's sort of a buddy movie for two villains, if you like, or two superheroes, or two anti-heroes, whichever way you want to look at it. And Roy was a wonderfully colorful character. He was, as you were mentioning, Joseph McCarthy's right-hand man, was sort of a legal wonderkid coming, I think it was 21, 22 when he joined the legal team of Joseph McCarthy, and was very instrumental in sort of persecuting this whole sort of the Red Scare. And after that, actually, he was also involved in Lavender Scare, which was persecuting homosexuals in federal government, himself being a closeted gay man. Later in 60s, he starts his law practice in New York, but what he really does there, he becomes sort of a fixer and a socialite where he connects people. He has immense political power. He's good friends with Richard Nixon. He knows a lot of people. He, at some point he's repping all the 5 mob families in New York at the same time. And Annie Warhol and people from Studio 54 and celebrities and politicians and you name it. And I think that he was also a PR genius. He was extremely good at sort of getting hang of media. All the reporters loved him. He was very good at getting stuff out there, and he was the person who sort of built Trump as a person, as a brand, as an identity from ground up in a way, and taught him to create his own reality when he needs.
I mean, you also said about the film that it's about the American system.
That's right.
System that allowed someone like Roy Cohn to operate in the way that he did. So was there something about the system that you wanted to convey in the film?
Yeah, look, I'm born and raised in Iran, and as such, I have this sort of outside view of the American politics and justice and legal system. And I think, this system was not created by Donald Trump. It wasn't created even by Roy Cohn. This system is in place, and these people are very good at navigating it. This is a system where, you can, bury people with legal firepower if you have enough money. You can, pull different strings. You can, almost buy votes. At the same time, it is a democracy, but it's I would say a flawed democracy, which makes it like full of different loopholes and different like backdoors and whatnot. And I think these people were experts in using those loopholes and using those sort of corners and fringes to get what they want from the system. At the same time, the whole sort of American society as such is based also on this social Darwinism, which is winner takes it all, and if either you're a killer or you're killed. And that sort of ideological backbone is there. You can see it with Donald, you can see it with Roy, you can see it with Fred Trump, who was Donald's dad. He wanted his sons and children to become killers.
And speaking of which, in terms of the film, the attempted killing of the film, Cannes Film Festival, 11-minute standing ovation, but also a legal letter from the Trump campaign team. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, we got it didn't take long. And we got this cease and desist letter. And basically what it says is, if you attempt to distribute this rubbish and whatnot and try to interfere in our election with foreign money and a guy from Iran and all the sort of, it wasn't really addressed to me or Gabe as much as it was addressed to Gabe Sherman, right? It was more, I guess, addressed to his base, in a way. So but the thread is there, and we'll see in a few days what's come out of it.
Let's go to a clip of The Apprentice.
You want to know how to win? I'm going to let you in on a little secret. There's rules. Roy Cohn's 3 rules of winning.
The first rule is the simplest: attack, attack, attack.
Civil rights, cats.
I hope the putz you're stuffing's got real money, because after I get you fired, you're sure gonna need it.
Excuse me?
Unless you drop your baseless litigation, I am countersuing the Justice Department for
$100 million, and you are gonna rue the day that you ever filed this.
Who is this?
It's Roy Cohn calling on behalf of my client, Donald J. Trump.
And this is another clip from The Apprentice in which Trump's being interviewed over the phone as he rides in the back of the car with Roy Cohn, who's advising him what's to say.
Listen, Judy, about 100 reporters were crawling up my to get this interview, and I gave you the exclusive.
Yes, hello, Judy. This is Donald Trump. Very excited to talk to you.
Be excited.
Donald, now that the lawsuit is behind you, what do you want to do next?
Well, I intend to acquire the Commodore, and I'm planning on making it the best and the finest building in the city, maybe the country, in the world. Judy, in the world, it's going to be the finest building in the world. It's going to be a spectacular hotel, absolutely spectacular, first class, and...
That sounds very ambitious. Where do you get the drive? Still so young, Donald.
I got flair, and I'm smart, so I think that's going to make me successful. But I also want to stay humble.
Sorry, Judy. Listen, let's do the rest in person, and bring a photographer, okay?
Sorry, Roy.
No, I mean, listen, it's your life. You got a ways to go, but you're learning.
So those are clips from your really magnificent film, The Apprentice, which will open Friday here in New York. So, I mean, one of the things that's so interesting and well done in the film is precisely this relationship, the relationship between Roy Cohn and Trump. So if you could say, what most surprised you when you were working with a journalist, Gabriel Sherman, who's written about Trump for decades in writing the screenplay, what most surprised you in what you discovered about Roy Cohn independently and Trump independently, but also about their relationship, which is really what the film tracks from beginning to end.
Look, these people, they've been depicted, many times, Mr. Trump obviously in many different, sketches and satire and they've been sort of laughed at and villainized and you have Angels in America, where Roy is a major character. I think what we tried to do here, which differently in a way, was to try to focus on their humanity. We try to deal with them as human beings, who have real pain, real feelings, real pleasure, and I think that's where the surprising part is actually, that someone like Roy Cohn, being the person he was, being a pretty malicious political operative, among other things, also could recite, classic Persian poetry, from 1,000 years ago. Also, was generous to his friends and loyal, And same goes with Mr. Trump, But everyone said, okay, when we were doing the movie, that all my liberal friends was like, we can't believe that he has feelings. We can't believe that he ever get affected. And one of the things when I was reading about it, the interesting thing is, for example, his relationship with his brother, Freddie, who sort of got crushed by their dad, and by the pressure he put on them to become killers. And I think that really affected Donald, really affected his relationship with alcohol, because Freddie died of alcoholism. And, there's real feeling and real trauma there. So if you dig a little bit under the surface, you find real emotions and real feelings, real human beings. At the same time, they are these two, relentless opportunists. You can see it even in their own relationship. There's always been love and affection and real sort of loyalty. At the same time, as Roy at the end was, sick and was dying of AIDS and got disbarred, and Mr. Trump didn't really have a use for him. He was distancing himself from him, because also his image projection of this macho image, the WWF guy or whatever in the 80s, that was in contrast with having a person with friends with AIDS,
I wanted to go back to when Roy Cohn was his lawyer.
Right.
This is the early 70s when Donald is working with his father, Fred Trump, and the DOJ, the Department of Justice, sues them for racial discrimination, preventing people of color, primarily African Americans, from living in their housing developments in Queens. This clip begins with Roy Cohn speaking in court as Trump's defense attorney.
Objection. The Civil Rights Division did not file a lawsuit. Frankly, it compiled a 48-page press release, as far as I can tell. Now, the government has failed to spell out one single fact concerning alleged discriminatory practices against blacks by the Trumps. I motion to have this case dismissed on summary judgment.
Overruled. Counselor, continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Agent Green, what led you to believe that you were denied a lease at Trump Properties based on your race?
Well, not only did the newspaper advertise...
That's Walter, DOJ. He runs the show.
I saw 3 Caucasian couples approved before.
Objection, speculation.
Mr. Cole.
How can you say for sure they were Caucasian?
Please allow Agent Green to answer the question.
I've seen Puerto Ricans whiter than my tush after a long winter.
Your Honor.
That's a clip from The Apprentice, and it talks about this really horrific time as they're gaining their wealth, where they are preventing people of color from getting into their housing development. But talk about why this was so seminal for you, Roy Cohn representing Trump.
This was how they met. DOJ had a really good case actually, and they marked, black applicants with a C. That's actually from the case. So it was sort
C
of
for
colored. So this was sort of beyond reasonable doubt, you can say. You can, again, you can look at reality in 2 ways. You can say, oh, the Trumps are racist, whatnot. You can also say a lot of people with the same kind of property